everyone. I had some other content in mind for today, but seeing as Boston University has posted yet another job or repost, I can't even tell, to the listserv I'm on, I decided I wanted to look into what the pay grade actually meant, and it set me on a very interesting exploration that I'd like to share with you guys. So, Boston University is expanding according to themselves, and I'm not going to do any of their posts in detail today because actually what I want to talk about is pay grades, but they have about 12 current opportunities open. And like I said, the one I saw on the listserv was for the e-resources librarian, but it had a pay grade number on it and not an actual amount. So I decided to look at the rest of these, and what I found is actually kind of interesting. So, other than the one outlier, which is just this user services assistant, which has a pay grade of 23, the posting I was looking at had a pay grade of 48, which is kind of interesting because that number also matches the number for the technical services manager. And if you look at all the rest of these, they seem to fall into sort of two groupings. So we have a whole bunch of these that are 41s and explicitly have this language in the posting, although they don't say 41, 42. I forget which one of them, but one of them says 41/42. And I did confirm, as you'll see in a moment, that these are the brackets for those two levels. So yeah, more than half of these, six, half exactly, are union postings of some kind. And that includes, let's see, three, your cataloger, four, your communications, your digital collections, six, seven, eight, social sciences, social work, and then visual arts. And so as you can see, this is a represented position, and we'll get into that a little bit more detail in a moment. But yeah, your upper level is 76 or 98. But the rest of these, and if you were me, you'd assume that 48, 49, and 51 would outrank, this level 41 position in terms of pay, because, you would think higher would be better, and there is a massive gap between these. So you're like, oh yeah, they should be making a lot more, right? And like I just noted, electronic resources is matched at the same salary grade as the tech services manager. Um, the archival information specialist and of course this associate university librarian for special collections have to have like really specialized skills. So yeah, this one's a pay grade of 49, which matches the head of technical services, which makes sense. And then the other person who is paid like higher than anybody else, which is the outlier, is this again special collections person. But aside from this listing for 41, you don't actually get any idea of how the pay grades compare to each other. So I think it's a natural assumption to assume these would be paid higher versus these, but interestingly enough, they're not. So fortunately, Boston University has a very good search engine, unlike the school I work at, which occasionally makes me go, really? We're going to dredge up old news from 20 years ago over current stuff. Anyway, ours is getting better. But they actually do list their salaries and their brackets, but you do have to go dig for it. So maybe that's a librarian test, maybe not. And they try to, emphasize the total rewards, which my university does too. And they send me lovely letters every year that explain how much, they're capping in for the medical care, this, that, and the other. And they're like, technically, you make six figures. I'm like, technically, that's not what's coming home with me, though. Yeah, I should be better about that, but I'm not. So, anyway, the pay is generally a subset of the pay grade range. It is not typically equivalent to the entire range of the pay grade. So, yeah. Yeah. They generally try to narrow down within the much broader range. Anyway, like I pointed out, these are L triple 88, and I assume it's a local union. And it does say grades 41 to 43, and this will become important here in a second. Oh, let me back that up. I already had that open. Sorry. Hate opening stuff twice. See if we can collapse that and zoom in for all those of us like me who can't see very well. So yeah, the 2020 salaries don't matter so much. I'm guessing this is when their contract was ratified, and they're probably up for another contract negotiation, which, yeah, that might explain some of the dynamic we are going to see here with the pay scales, because, we just went through ours, which is a good time. So you can see the librarian 1 and the librarian 2 brackets are the two we were looking at. There is a librarian 3 bracket, but it's not in any of the job postings they have out. I assume because that's the equivalent of full professorship, because as we'll see here in a second, the other version, the non-represented positions, and you can look at their collective bargaining agreement, which determines the base and the starting salaries. So we could get this verified if we wanted to keep digging. But the non-represented positions, which seem to be the other half, I'm assuming are salaried staff positions, although it says excludes, these executive positions. And oddly enough, the grades, in my opinion, don't match up. So you have this like 41 for half of these. It's at like 60 some dollars, but 41 here is like 31 to 34. So applying that down to where we are paying people, because I thought it was sort of strange too that they would pay the the resources person this much more than everybody else who's in the union. But yeah, it's another question why the e-resource person isn't in the union, or maybe it was an added job. I do know some libraries, like one of ours, neighbor libraries up the street, as I say, over an hour away. They have this sort of mixed arrangement, which I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the mixed arrangement, let me tell you. So the pay grade we were looking at for e-resource position at Boston University, though, would fall somewhere between this 58 to 73, which is a little bit lower than a librarian 1, but kind of makes sense. I mean, for the area, it's competitive. And 49 were the two jobs that were, blanking on it. Let's see, 49, 1, and 7. So that's your Archival Association Specialist and the Head of Tech Services. And yeah, those are supposed to be somewhere in the 67 to 95, but it does give you a max. So if you really feel tough on negotiating, you could try and talk them up to this, but I don't know if I would. Okay, my heater's coming on, so I don't want to hear too much about that. But again, the last one, the highest one, that special collection job would be somewhere in the 91 to 136, and you might be able to make it as big as 182. I'm gonna just assume that thing pushing at my office door at home is my dog, because God forbid I do something without my dog being somewhere in a 6-foot radius from me. The joy of Great Danes. So anyway, I think we can see very clearly the impact collective bargaining has, even on comparable job ranges. It's not much, but it's definitely significant when you're looking at postings. So yeah, on pay alone, there's definitely a split between these 6 union positions and these 5 non-union positions. Some of which I kind of understand not being union positions, because this special collection job seems like an admin job. Tech services manager seems like an administrative type job. Head of tech services, same. Just kind of surprised that they moved the e-resources librarian over. Well, the archival information specialist, I'm not sure if that would be union or not. It seems like it could be if this was a faculty job, but I'm not going to dig into the whole details. Like I said, I just thought it was interesting how you can see the union impact and look up the really exciting pay grades. If you, like me, hit the pay grade wall at the bottom of a posting and usually go, ugh, I don't feel like touching this to see if it's worth my time, well, it's almost always worth at least looking into.